3 strike teams.
Elite units, the best soldiers the Council could field, sent down to contain whatever had emerged from that mine. The file loaded, and I felt my stomach drop. I took my position at the command podium and activated the briefing display. The planet Keth 9 rotated slowly in front of me. A mining world, rich in heavy metals, strategically important. Absolutely not worth dying over, but try telling that to economists. All 3 teams were listed as total losses. No survivors, no recoverable equipment, no explanation for what had killed them. Just 36 names added to the memorial registry and a planet that was now under full quarantine. I scrolled through the tactical reports, my claws tightening on the podium. The creature they had awakened was designated in the files as the Hollow. No formal classification, no known origin. The description was vague in that special way that meant nobody who had seen it clearly had lived long enough to file a report. What we did know was this: it regenerated. Any damage inflicted upon it was repaired almost instantly. Energy weapons, kinetic rounds, explosives, chemical agents, everything had been tried, everything had failed. You could not kill it, you could not contain it, you could only run from it, and apparently you could not even do that very well. Fantastic. One of the Council representatives, a Velish diplomat with more titles than brain cells, leaned forward in his alcove. Admiral Zyn'veth. The Council requires an immediate solution. The mining operations on Keth 9 represent a significant economic investment. One of the Council representatives, a Velish diplomat with more titles than brain cells, leaned forward in his alcove. Of course they did. 36 soldiers were dead, and this fool was worried about profit margins. I took a breath, steadied myself, reminded myself that murdering Council members was technically illegal. With respect, I said, and I want to be clear that there was no respect in my voice whatsoever. We have thrown 3 of our best tactical units at this creature and achieved nothing. I need time to develop a proper strategy, time to gather intelligence, time to understand what we are actually dealing with. The Velish representative made a dismissive gesture. Time is a luxury we do not possess. The creature is expanding its territory. If it reaches the primary colony hub, civilian casualties will be catastrophic. Then evacuate the civilians, I said. The economic disruption would be unacceptable. I stared at him. I stared at him for a long moment. Then I turned to Tresic, because if I kept looking at that bureaucratic waste of carbon, I was going to say something that would end my career. Commander, what assets do we have available for a 4th assault? Tresic checked his datapad and I saw the hesitation in his eyes. That is the thing, Admiral. A 4th deployment has already been authorized. I blinked. What? A volunteer was dispatched approximately 2 hours ago. Single operative, already en route to the surface. I felt my scales flush with anger.
Who authorized this?
A single operative, against a target that has destroyed 3 full teams. That is not a mission, that is an execution. The authorization came from the Terran consulate, sir. And just like that, everything made a horrible kind of sense. I closed my eyes, took another breath, counted to 10 in 3 different languages. A human. They had sent a human. This is a joke, I said. Tell me this is a joke. Tresic shook his head. Lieutenant Priya Okonkwo, Terran military weapons specialist. She volunteered for the assignment personally. 1 human. 1 single human. Walking into a situation that had chewed up and spat out 36 of our finest soldiers. And nobody had thought to consult me. Nobody had thought to mention that we were sending a lamb to the slaughter. Tresic scrambled after me. Sir, what are you going to do? I spun toward the door. Get me a transport to the docking bay, now. I am going to stop this insanity before it starts. I said. I am not adding another name to that memorial because some human has a death wish and the Council has no spine. I did not wait for a response. I was already moving. Somewhere down on that planet an unkillable nightmare was waiting, and somewhere between here and there a human was flying to meet it. I had to stop her. And I was very, very tired of watching soldiers die. I had to stop her because, if I did not, I was going to have to watch another soldier die for nothing. The docking bay was cold. It was always cold. Something about thermal regulations and fuel storage and a dozen other technical reasons that I had never cared enough to remember. The point is, I arrived expecting to find a frightened soldier preparing for a hopeless mission. What I found instead was a human woman sitting on a cargo crate, chewing something, and reading a datapad like she was waiting for a shuttle to a vacation resort. "Lieutenant Okonkwo," I said, and my voice came out sharper than I intended. She looked up, smiled, actually smiled at me, as if I had not just stormed across 3 decks to stop her from committing elaborate suicide. "Admiral Zyn'veth," she said, "I was wondering if you would show up. You have that look about you, the worried commander look, very distinguished." She hopped off the crate and extended her hand. Human greeting ritual. I had learned about it during my cultural liaison training. You were supposed to grasp their hand and shake it. A bizarre custom, but I complied. I stopped walking, blinked, tried to process the fact that this human had just called me worried and distinguished in the same breath. Her grip was firm, confident, not the grip of someone who knew they were about to die. "Lieutenant," I said, releasing her hand, "I need you to stand down from this mission." She tilted her head, kept chewing whatever was in her mouth. "Why? Why?" I gestured toward the viewport, toward the planet hanging below us like a death sentence. "Because you are walking into a situation that has killed 36 trained soldiers. Because the target cannot be destroyed. Because this is not a mission. It is a funeral with extra steps." Then she turned around and went back to loading equipment onto her dropship. She nodded slowly, thoughtfully, as if I had made an interesting point at a dinner party rather than explained her imminent demise. I stood there, stunned. "I heard you," she called over her shoulder. "Unkillable creature, 8-3 teams, very scary, got it. Did you hear what I said?" "What are you doing?" I demanded. She lifted a heavy crate with a grunt and slid it into the cargo hold. I caught a glimpse of the label on the side. Industrial thermal charges, the kind used for asteroid mining, not military ordnance. Mining equipment. Packing. "I can see that. Why are you packing mining equipment for a combat mission?" She grabbed another crate. This one was labeled with hazard symbols I did not recognize. "Because I am not planning on fighting it, Admiral. I am planning on killing it. There is a difference." I opened my mouth, closed it, opened it again. This human was insane. That was the only explanation. The Terran consulate had sent me a lunatic. "Lieutenant," I said, and I tried very hard to keep my voice calm and reasonable. 3 elite strike teams hit that creature with everything we had. Plasma cannons, fragmentation charges, concentrated acid. It regenerated from all of it. Within seconds. You cannot kill something that simply grows back. She stopped loading, turned to face me, and for the first time I saw something in her eyes that was not casual humor. It was focus. "Admiral," she said, "does it grow back from nothing, or does it grow back from something?" I hesitated. "What?" "The regeneration. Is it creating new mass, or is it redistributing existing mass?" I did not know. The thought had never occurred to me. Why would it? The creature healed from any wound. That was the problem. The mechanism did not matter. "I am not certain," I admitted. The tactical reports were not specific. She nodded, made a small sound that might have been satisfaction. "And the central mass, is it distributed evenly through the creature, or is there a concentration point? A core?" Again, I did not know. Again, the question had never seemed relevant. She smiled. Not a mocking smile. Something else. Something that looked almost like pity. I bristled. "We understand enough. It is a bioweapon. It consumes organic matter. It cannot be killed." "Admiral," she said, "you have been trying to destroy this thing, blowing pieces off, burning it down, hitting it with everything you have got, but you have not been trying to understand it." She shook her head. "See, that is the thing. Every species in this galaxy looks at a regenerating organism and says, 'Oh no, it is unkillable.' Humans look at a regenerating organism and say, 'Huh, I wonder what its limits are.'" I watched her. Watched this small, soft, utterly fragile creature prepare to face something that had annihilated the best soldiers the Council could field. She turned back to her dropship, resumed loading, and I realized with a growing sense of unease that she was not scared. She was curious. "Lieutenant," I said, "you are aware that you might die down there?" She grabbed a final piece of equipment, some kind of scanning device, tucked it under her arm. "You want some advice?" "Admiral," she said. "I grew up on Earth. Spent my childhood in a region where the local wildlife included venomous snakes, territorial hippos, and mosquitoes that carried 6 different diseases. I have been in might-die situations since I was old enough to walk." She stepped onto the boarding ramp of her dropship, paused, looked back at me. I did not answer. I was too busy trying to understand how this conversation had gotten so far away from me. She gave me that smile again, the one that made me feel like I was missing something obvious. "Stop telling humans things are unkillable," she said. "We take it as a challenge." Then she jerked her thumb toward the ship. "I will have a live feed running. You are welcome to watch from command. Might learn something." And with that, she disappeared into the dropship. The ramp closed behind her. "Admiral, should I order her detained?" Tresic appeared beside me. I had not heard him arrive. His expression was carefully neutral. I stood in the docking bay, cold air washing over my scales, and tried to figure out what had just happened. I considered it. I genuinely considered it. But something stopped me. Something in the way she had asked those questions, the specificity, the focus. She was not guessing. She had a theory. A stupid theory, probably. A theory that was going to get her killed. But a theory nonetheless. Tresic's eyes widened. "Sir?" "No," I said finally. "Let her go." I turned away from the dropship, headed for the exit. "But get me a live feed to command," I said. "If she is going to die down there, I am at least going to understand why." Behind me, I heard the dropship engine spin up. Somewhere below us, an unkillable creature waited. And a human was about to try to prove the entire galaxy wrong. Insane. Absolutely insane. But I was going to watch anyway. The command center was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that happens when everyone in the room knows they are about to watch someone die and nobody wants to be the first to say it. I stood at the central display, arms crossed, watching the feed from Lieutenant Okonkwo's helmet camera. Tresic was beside me. 2 other officers had gathered as well, drawn by morbid curiosity or professional obligation. I did not acknowledge them. On the screen, Keth 9 grew larger as the dropship descended through the atmosphere. It was a ugly world, brown and gray mostly, rocky terrain broken up by patches of bioluminescent fungal forests that glowed an unsettling blue-green in the perpetual twilight. The mining colony sat in a valley between 2 mountain ranges, or at least, it had. Now it was rubble.